1803 Two-instrument transformer rated metering equipment. Instrument transformer rated metering equipment is installed when either the customer's calculated load or service entrance conductor size exceed the maximum rating/specifications of single-position, self-contained meter sockets. CPS Energy furnishes the standard instrument transformer rated metering equipment outlined in Table 1801 of this section. There are various methods of installing instrument transformer rated metering equipment that depend on the service voltage, type of service, etc. This article covers typical applications of this type of metering equipment along with its general installation requirements. Instrument transformer rated metering and enclosures may be installed outdoors, in a standard weatherproof enclosure, in a switchboard or switchgear, or within the secondary compartment of CPS Energy's pad mount transformer. All jobs requiring instrument transformers must be closely coordinated with CPS Energy's customer service representative. A. Customer's calculated load and service conductor criteria. The use of instrument transformer rated metering equipment will be determined by CPS Energy and will depend on the calculated load to be supplied and the service conductors to be installed. Customer shall determine calculated load and service conductor sizes in accordance with the NEC, refer to definition of calculated load. Where customer's calculated load exceeds the values outlined in Table 1802, instrument transformer rated metering equipment must be installed. Where customer's service conductor size exceeds the maximum allowable specifications outlined in Figure 1801 or Figure 1802 for self-contained meter sockets, instrument transformer rated metering equipment must be installed. B. Instrument transformers, current transformers/voltage transformers. CPS Energy furnishes and installs the necessary current transformers, CTs, and voltage transformers, VTs, that are required for service installations. CPS Energy also furnishes and installs the metering control cables from the instrument transformers to the transformer-rated meter socket. Most CTs are window type, donut type, with the service conductor passing through the CT opening and serving as the primary winding, refer to definition of instrument transformer and Figure 1813. Exception. Customer installs instrument transformers where they are to be installed within customer-furnished metering enclosures, switchgear, or switchboard or in other cases where directed by CPS Energy. C. Standard instrument transformer enclosures. CPS Energy furnishes the following standard weatherproof instrument transformer enclosures for installation by the customer. CPS Energy will work with electrical contractor on installation of instrument transformers so as to facilitate the installation of service conductors and eliminate unnecessary splices within enclosure, refer to Table 1801 and Figure 1811. 1. Code 10, 26 inches, H, x 30 inches, W, x 9 inches, D, for 2 to 250 kcm/phase or equivalent kcm in fewer conductors. 2. Code 11, 50 inches, H, x 32 inches, W, x 14 inches, D, for 3 to 500 kcm/phase or equivalent kcm in fewer conductors. 3. Code 12, 60 inches, H, x 48 inches, W, x 14 inches, D, for 4 to 750 kcm/phase or equivalent kcm in fewer conductors. Note 1. The total kcm value of the service conductors listed for any enclosure above shall not be exceeded. Note 2. Code 12 enclosure may be adapted for busbar installations, but busbars shall not have an ampacity larger than 2000 amperes or a width greater than 4 inches. All designs shall be submitted to CPS Energy for approval before installation. Note 3. Where customer's service design requires the use of a larger instrument transformer enclosure than those furnished by CPS Energy, customer shall submit to CPS Energy for approval an enclosure meeting CPS Energy's specifications and construction criteria. D. Standard trans sockets. Transsockets are self-contained, weatherproof metering enclosures that house all required instrument transformers, test switch, metering control cable, and meter socket. CPS Energy will utilize demand diversification to customers' calculated loads when sizing transsockets. Transsockets may accommodate estimated demand loads up to 800 amperes and service conductor sizes up to 2 to 500 kcm cables per phase. Standard instrument transformer enclosures may be installed on an exception basis for estimated demand loads of 800 amps or less if requested by customer. CPS Energy furnishes the following standard transsocket enclosures for installation by the customer. Type of transsocket: maximum demand load code 23, overhead, 400 amperes, 144 kVA, 208V, 333 kVA, 480V, code 24, overhead, 800 amperes, 288 kVA, 208V, 665 kVA, 480V, code 25, underground, 400 amperes, 144 kVA, 208V, 333 kVA, 480V, code 26, underground, 800 amperes, 288 kVA, 208V, 665 kVA, 480V. It is critical that the correct transsocket be installed for each service installation due to the pre-wired configuration of internal equipment. Where service is underground, the line conductors must enter the bottom of the transsocket and connect to the bottom terminals. Where service is overhead, the line conductors will enter the top of the transsocket and connect to the top terminals. Load conductors will always exit opposite the line conductors, and conductors will not be allowed to cross inside the transsocket. The conductor entrance/exit location notes must be followed. Refer to Table 1801 and Figures 1818 and 1819 for more specific and detailed information related to transsockets. E. Customer furnished and maintained service conductors through CTs. On metering installations where customer furnishes all service conductors in instrument transformer enclosures, they shall coordinate with CPS Energy and pull their conductors through the window-type CTs to their service equipment, thereby avoiding connections. F. CPS Energy furnished and maintained service conductors through CTs. On overhead to underground services, CPS Energy will furnish the line-side conductors. All connections must be made in the instrument transformer enclosure to establish the point of delivery, POD. Refer to Figure 1813. 1. Where cable-to-cable connections are required, they shall be made on the load side of window-type CTs. Where aluminum service conductors are used, customer shall furnish compression-type connectors with compression tool for installation. Where copper service conductors are used, customer shall furnish heavy-duty pre-insulated connectors. The customer will install the connectors on their service conductors, and CPS Energy will make the connection to the CPS Energy service cables. This junction then will be the POD. G. Location of instrument transformers and enclosures. 1. 1 meter installations. A. For overhead service drops, donut-type CT/VTs will be furnished and installed by CPS Energy on a transformer mounting bracket, TMB, mounted on a service mast, meter pole, or on the building or structure. Where they must be installed on building wall or structure, customer shall install TMBs for CPS Energy. CT/VTs will be placed on the TMBs where the service drop is installed by CPS Energy. Refer to Figures 505, 506, 507, and 1402. B. When deemed necessary by CPS Energy, for overhead service drops, the CT/VTs will be installed by customer within an enclosure furnished by CPS Energy. Enclosure may be mounted on a meter pole with a meter rack, refer to Figure 1402, or directly on the building or structure, refer to Figures 1811 and 1813. C. For overhead to underground service, the CT/VTs will be installed by customer within an enclosure furnished by CPS Energy. Enclosure may be located on a metering equipment rack or directly on the building or structure. Refer to figures 701, 1813, and 1820. D. For services supplied by pad mount transformers, the CT/VTs will be located within the secondary compartment of the transformer. Refer to figures 1001 and 1002 and section 1000. E. Exception. On transformer installations of 300 kVA or less, CPS Energy may require the use of self-contained metering equipment on a metering equipment rack or directly on the building or structure. F. For overhead primary voltage service, the CT/VTs will be installed on a CPS Energy-owned primary meter pole. Refer to section 1200. G. For underground primary voltage service, the CT/VTs may be located within customer's switchgear or switchboard, or they may be located within an outdoor primary metering pad mount cabinet. CPS Energy will furnish this enclosure at customer's expense. Refer to section 1300. H. For services supplied from the downtown network system, CT/VTs will either be installed within a CPS Energy furnished instrument transformer enclosure or may be installed within a compartment specifically designed and isolated for metering equipment in customer's switchgear or switchboard. Where CT/VTs are to be installed in an instrument transformer enclosure, the enclosure shall be installed by customer. Refer to section 1100. Exception. Where customer's service design requires the use of a larger instrument transformer enclosure than those furnished by CPS Energy, customer shall submit to CPS Energy for approval an enclosure meeting CPS Energy's specifications and construction criteria. 2. Multiple meter installations. On multiple meter installations where CPS Energy instrument transformers are required in accordance with this section, a standard instrument transformer enclosure furnished by CPS Energy will be installed by customer on an auxiliary meter gutter. Exception. Code 12 enclosures are not permitted to be installed directly above an auxiliary gutter. H. Instrument transformer rated meter sockets. CPS Energy furnishes all transformer rated meter sockets and meters. Customer shall be responsible for installing meter sockets and the conduits necessary for the metering control cable between the meter sockets and the instrument transformer enclosures/compartments. Refer to figure 1812. I. Primary metering pad mount cabinets. CPS Energy furnishes this equipment at customer's expense. Refer to section 1300.